Hey, welcome to a brand new episode on the Holistic Business and Life Mastery Show. I'm your show host, Supriya Roy, Holistic Business and Marketing Coach. Hey, welcome to today's episode. We're talking about something really interesting and it doesn't get talked about enough. If you ask me, this is one of the most common yet hidden truths behind why many businesses, and to be very factual and stats driven, many startups and 90% of startups fail in the time that they do. And this is what I want to share with you today. It is a psychological phenomena that is silently sabotaging your business decisions. So if you want to soar in the next 90 days to 6 months, I want you to pay close attention to how to avoid this and how you can actually course correct so that you don't become victim to the sunk cost fallacy. So what exactly is sunk cost fallacy? It's an economic term actually. It's something that I learned far along later in my journey. And I heard it first through a financial expert, and then I heard it again through a salesperson, and then I started to perceive things that started to help me build my, vocabulary around it and seeing myself make such mistakes, and then course correct myself so that I didn't fall prey to it. Okay, what it is that it's like, when a good metaphor for this is, that toxic relationship that most of us have been in, and for some reason they've been the longest relationships most of us have had, and then we're too scared to just move on and break up and move on. And one of the biggest drivers for staying is for the time, energy, and emotions that we've invested into that one person, that one relationship. It makes us think about not doing what's right for us. And similar things can happen in health. It can happen in business. So this concept, this sabotage, is happening at a decision-making level, which is really, really good to understand, is that it's not something like, you're not really learning it from anyone else. You're actually believing that you're making the right decision because you're using your logical mind and brain, looking at the data of like, oh, I've spent this long. You're quantifying the whole thing. And you're looking at, how much you've put into it. And then you're like, well, I know I'm not happy, but I can't walk away because of the time, effort, and emotional investment I've made in it. Similar things happen in business. So I remember back when I was already running my yoga business, and it was just me running classes, community-based classes. I had grown 3 communities within 5 years, and in those 5 years my lifestyle was just driving from client to client. And yes, I focused in one area, so I wasn't driving long distances, but my lifestyle let me know by the 5th year that look, things are not working energetically, physically, financially. This wasn't going to be a sustainable thing for me. And when I looked at my business performance, not through like a business lens, I was just assessing like, hey, am I really getting what I need from this from a sustainability perspective? And it wasn't working. And I felt really sad when I thought about like changing things. I really felt like, oh my God, I'm gonna mess things up if I even think about changing things. I don't want to lose everything I've put into it. That was the mindset I was in. I was looking at all the losses involved instead of looking at what's possible if I made changes to my then lifestyle, my then choices I was making, and also the way I was operating the business or my service provisions, right? So ultimately, look, it's a cognitive trap, meaning it's a thinking trap. And a lot of businesses, most businesses fall into it because it's just the way our mind will experience things. We will, and it happens at every stage of business. So this is not just particular to, the beginners. But the more seasoned you are, the longer you've been in business, you would be familiar and you'd be quicker at correcting yourself and suspecting that that's what you're doing because of what I'm about to share with you today. So as with anything, whenever it's a mindset or a thinking pattern or a bias, there's usually telltale signs that you can see in your environment. We always we being the Holistic Business Mastery community, we always look at the results or the experiences, the outcomes that we're noticing. So if you are looking at you not getting results from a marketing campaign, maybe you've got a product that you've been trying to sell for a while, but it's just not happening. Perhaps the way you've been selling things, they're like this, they're just yesterday, no tomorrow. There's no consistency in how it performs when you try and sell it. Perhaps there are some outcomes like, you keep hiring mismatched or misaligned people, and then you are learning about them much later, especially because, at first they come across as the best match for you, but then later on you go and find out that they're not, and they just walk away with everything they learned from you, and you find that, well, now I've got to find someone new again, Maybe this happens with your peer-to-peer relationships as well. Perhaps you don't find that you sustain long-term partnerships in your network, that they fall through. Just looking at your outcomes, when you're looking at the environment that you're currently in with your services, does it feel like things are working for you? And if they're not, look at how long that problem has been there. It's okay to not have things work out once in a while. These are things that happen. But how about these things that you are looking at thinking, well, what caused this? Is there any way you could change what caused these fall downs or, fallouts? And how long has it not been working? So when we hit those walls or glass ceilings or barriers in our journey, it's a time to reflect on why it's happening. Look, you are an intelligent, rational person. And I'm going to say that with confidence because you chose to study something that is complementary to the mainstream well-being, wellness, theories and practices, because you're confident of yourself in that way. You've developed yourself to be a provider of this service, and I know you're an intelligent person. And so just know that intellect, intuition, they both have to work together. And there is such a thing with us humans. We're just wired in a certain way. We would do much more to avoid loss or pain than to, go for something that brings us pleasure. Hear that again. We humans would do much more to avoid loss or pain than we would do much more than to go for pleasure. And an example of this is, if we are invested in something, be it through time, money, emotions, presence, that's a lot of attachment. And yes, it's hard to leave that. It's hard to cut our ties with that. It's hard to abandon that. The reason is so many, but let's not generalize. Let's look at this concept of sunk cost fallacy, which is a bias that keeps us exactly where we have been, especially because we're just attached to the way we've been doing things. So, I'm not proposing you drop your business because it hasn't been doing well. Because I too have been there, and I was at a fork in the road thinking, oh my God, maybe I should just stop it because I don't see myself doing anything differently. And that's because, I had no idea about how to transition into the next level. Getting me? So, look, it's natural to resist walking away or cutting ties with long-held patterns of thinking, decision-making, doing things. And the first step is awareness. So I want you to journal or take a moment, pause this podcast, and just become present to what do you know about yourself already? How are you making these decisions when it comes to growing your business? Has it been stuck at a certain point for a while? And then look at how long you've been doing it and what's stopping you from making a different decision. What's stopping you? And when I ask you to reflect on that, I don't mean, look, blame yourself. The plain and simple answer is, yeah, what's stopping me is myself. Nobody else is really stopping us from changing. I'm not really saying that. That would be gaslighting, right? And I don't want you to gaslight yourself. What I want you to do is take the first step and become aware. So, are there any strategies, products, or relationships, or all three, that no longer serve your goals and could be ultimately dragging you down or your business down? Cool? So when you've done that, come right back, because I'm going to share with you the good news in how to overcome it. Okay? How to actually get out of this trap, quick, smart. And the quicker you pick up on these things, the quicker you're going to move forward. Okay? So let's look at a few strategies on overcoming or coming out of this trap, quick, smart. Because one of my mentors taught us that this business is like a bus. And we, the CEO, the operator, the service provider, right? We are the driver of the bus. So you are the person who has to take responsibility and accountability for this, right? The longer you stay in these patterns of poor decisions made through, sabotaging thinking, yeah, that's what's happening. The answer was right in the beginning. I am the reason why we're stuck. Though, that's not enough, it's not enough. We gotta go, right, now what do I do? So here is what we do. I'm gonna give you 4 strategies. Strategy number 1 is reframing the way you think. So, right now you are used to thinking, well, I've invested so much. I've bought equipment, I've bought memberships, I belong to this and that, right? I've done professional development, I've done print ads, I've done so much spending of money, time, energy, emotion. So you might be thinking that, hey, that's a lot of things that I've spent on this. And that is the true meaning of sunk cost. What I want you to reframe it to be is that what could be the future potential of this investment you've made? Okay? So that you can look through the future lens and go, well, based on the future potential of all of this, would I make the same decision that I have been making? Right? Would I keep making the same decision if I look through my future position? The potential will let you know that, hey, what got me here won't get me there. So it's time to drop that thinking that I've wasted everything or that it's too late for me to cut my losses. It's not really cutting your losses with the place, the time you've spent building what you have built, though now it's time to cut your losses with the way of thinking. Now it's time to change that thinking to go into future potential and get to know what that is, and then make decisions from there. That, would I actually make the same decisions had I known this? What I know now. So now look, however far you've gotten with whatever investments you made then has gotten you this far. However, based on the future you want to create, right now things are not working. Let's go drop this and let's look for different solutions. The reframe has helped me and many others, because reframing things means that it's a shift in perspective on the same situation. You're looking at your situation with a broader perspective in an empowered way, and you're thinking about the business and the clients and the things that you haven't done yet. Yeah? Instead of exactly what you have done. Can that apply anywhere else in your life too? I know it did for me. And yes, I have left poor relationships, not just, personal ones, but this is the same thing happens in business as well. Clients that didn't really see my value, I left them, right? I couldn't work with them because I knew that, okay, well, sunk cost fallacy is driving my decision to stay here. I will find a new way because that's not my future. That's not me. Okay, getting this? So strategy number 2 is set clear metrics. Like, know where your boundary is as far as your limits go. Whenever you start a new project, whenever you start a new campaign, whenever you start a new idea, define it as to what is successful for you. What does success look like for you? Be it in business, relationships, health, anywhere, right? And remember, we're not talking about the entire big piece, the big cake. We're looking at, okay, within the next 90 days, what does success look like for us? That's exactly what we do in our marketing program. Okay, so we walk you through, the first step is, well, what does success look like in the next 90 days? And that's what we're working towards. And that means that gives you so much more structure, so much more strategy that is so applicable for what you need now. And everything really drops down to, hey, everything should count towards something that is closer and something that is achievable in the next 90 days. So when you set clear metrics, you will know when to stop or when to continue. Okay? When you know when to stop, it means that you actually know what signs you're looking for. So it won't be 3, 4, 5 years down. That's when you realize, oh, my savings is running out. I should look at it. It would happen much earlier. Okay? So because the business is an environment where everything is driven by metrics and data and causes of those data. It's a much easier way to get signs and signals to read, to make new decisions from. Okay, so what can this help you achieve? It will help you become more objective down the road instead of more subjective, like emotionally attached to something just because you feel guilty for abandoning it and you're just staying there just because of some emotional attachment that's there. But we become more objective down the road by setting clear metrics. What's coming up for you? Maybe just tune into it, because I know whenever I bring up that topic of objectivity over subjectivity, all of you get deep in your thoughts. I know the eyes went down. I know you kind of go, yeah, that's my problem. Well, when we work together, you'll learn some special strategies to become more emotionally resilient. And the formula I teach you is to actually be an intelligent business owner, an emotionally intelligent business owner or practice owner. Next one is seeking external perspectives, being that I want you to know that you're not meant to do this alone, because you're sometimes way too inside the process. So you won't be able to see the forest for the trees, as the saying goes. So getting someone from the outside to talk it through, to see it from another perspective, will really be helpful for you to make a new decision. Okay, so who that person could be is like maybe a peer in your industry that's having better results, or a mentor or a coach. Seek external perspectives, not your boyfriend, not your partner, not your someone that is outside of your, situation. It will give you a chance to breathe. It will give you a chance to see another perspective. And you're just, sharing with them what you're thinking. And you can frame the conversation that way to say, look, currently I'm thinking of this. This is what I've been weighing up. And what do you think of that? Okay? It's not, you're not asking them what you should be doing. It's really helping you talk honestly to someone that's non-judgmental and someone that can also see things from your perspective. So when you talk to someone external to your situation, ultimately you're looking for, guidance to tap into what you've already needed to evaluate and see for yourself that to get out of that trap, these are the things, these are the options that are there for you, and then go ahead and do that. Okay? So, yeah. Write it in the reviews or comments section and let me know what's coming up for you. What are you thinking? Do you need any advice on this point? I'd love to share more. And last strategy that I have for you is just don't be afraid to pivot or change. This thing about not changing is so hammered into us. We talk about consistency, we talk about trust, we talk about reliability. Don't take that into big decisions or small decisions that need to be made on a daily basis. When you run a practice, you're having to make minor to major decisions all the time. Okay, so there is such a thing called decision fatigue. Yes, it is a thing. But I want you to stay aware that, these decisions that have to be made with respect to what is currently the situation, you must be willing to pivot. You must be willing to go, this is not working. I need to take a sharp right turn. And many people that are not in your situation, that have not done this, will always say, oh, are you sure? Are you sure? I mean, a lot of, again, this is another bias. Many of us have a cognitive bias called confirmation bias. So whatever we're thinking, if it's a negative belief we think, like, oh, I don't think I should, I don't think I can, we're going to seek out people, resources, and evidence of exactly that. That's how our brain is wired. But if you take all the strategies I've given you today, if you do speak to an external party, which I highly recommend, doing, then you will be more likely to pivot and make the changes necessary to get you out of the trap. Look, it's an expensive cost, right? It costs you more money, time, energy to not do the right things, to not make these decisions based on misunderstandings, based on misplaced importance on things that, they're just keeping you stuck. So when you are admitting that what you've been doing is not working, you're actually failing, there's a big freedom that rises from just admitting, oh my God, if I think back to my journey, I've written about it in emails, but I was just couldn't face another day. And I had really no one around me to really be vulnerable with that would be giving me that reflection, that would be able to see me. Well, that's what I thought anyway, but I hadn't invested in anyone neutral. So everybody that I knew was already in my circle, so didn't really want to talk to anyone that I already knew and that didn't have a skill to coach or mentor me. So I realized that, whatever I was doing, it was a failing strategy. It wasn't going to lead me to where I wanted to go. The future that I wanted wasn't the one that I was in at that time. And I just visualized myself doing the same thing as I had done for the last 5 years, for the next 5 years. And I said, oh my God, I'd be like tired, burnt out, dehydrated, dry as a prune. I just imagined myself just bankrupt of everything, right? I just really imagined myself as a very old person because of the drainage that I felt thinking about it. And that was a surefire sign that I needed to make a change. I needed to pivot. So it's about making a smart, strategic move towards something better from where you are. Cool. So I want you to replay this, hear it again, listen to it again, reflect on it, and just know that this is not to paralyze you on feeling like, oh my God, now Supriya is like telling me about the stuff that's going on. I'm going to be revealing to you that every one of us have gone through this. If you are going through this, it's a rite of passage, my friend. So welcome to a new level where you get to make a good decision for your business. These decisions actually give you like street cred in the journey of owning a practice and doing what you love doing. And this is just part of the journey where you now get to make better decisions for yourself. Think about, again, that metaphor or actual life things that you've done where maybe you had an eating disorder and you knew it was wrong and you kept doing the same thing, and then suddenly you realize, no, what I'm doing is not working for me. I'm not going to do this. This is a bad habit. You have to break the habit. You had to cut your ties with the old identity of the person that did that. Okay? Much of the deeper stuff is this attachment to the person who does that. The person is inside us, isn't it? So the sunk cost fallacy is in all of us, in all arenas of our life, whether it be a dysfunctional relationship or a business or a strategy of business or maybe a health related thing, strategy, anything that you're doing that's not producing the results that you want, over time it starts to cost you money, time, energy, and all sorts of things that you can't buy with money. You can't buy back. So why would you want to risk that? So that's what I have for you today. And I want you to walk away feeling empowered and want you to feel more clearer so that you can make effective decisions that actually rocket you and your business forward from here. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope this episode resonated with you. I encourage you to take a moment and leave us a review. Evaluate any areas of your business that needs help. Go ahead and reach out, apply for a free business coaching session. It's available, and make sure you make the changes necessary because you deserve to have an aligned business that makes your dreams come true. All right, so look forward to chatting with you very soon. Until next episode, have an absolutely wonderful week ahead.